It's not that comes to mind.
You may have forgotten in just your sheer excitement, but in 3 days, Velma season 2 comes out.
How could I have overlooked it? I mean, you know me, I've been sitting there with bated breath. To be fair, I'm quite looking forward to the reviews coming out. I am looking forward to that. I think that will be very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Oh, I know I sent it to you. When is the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight? Because I do want to do a Let's Consume on that. But anyway, yeah. So I know I talked to you about doing this movie, but I figured, because we don't have anything that we're in the middle of, this is a good point to go ahead and get a shot. This is The Sound of Freedom. Basically a true story. I'm sure they took, they Hollywoodized it in some parts, but for the most part, the story is true.
Okay.
And Fox sat on this movie. Fox, consequently Disney, sat on this movie for like 5 years and refused to put it in theaters.
What's been done all this time? They just
Oh,
wouldn't release it?
Yeah, I think it did go into theaters, like a year or 2 years ago, whatever it was, but it was done for quite a while before it was in theaters, and they just wouldn't release it. Not that I'm casting any assuasions about Disney's preferences for children, but, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, the perfect comparison to this is Cuties, that claimed it was trying to make a message about sexualizing children, but sexualized children to do it.
Uh-huh.
This does not do that. It makes it very clear what's happening, but there's nothing explicit. Yeah, because my grandfather was a cop, obviously, in a lot of not great areas. We always, I shouldn't say grew up, but like from my teenage years, I always knew shit like this was a thing. But this puts it into a lot of perspective.
It's probably going to be hard for me because I personally believe the worst thing you can do in this world is take away a child's innocence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's a hard watch, and they don't make you feel better about it, but in the same breath, it would be wrong to, in a way.
He just lost his kids, didn't he?
Yep. And I believe this footage is all actual security footage. Yeah, these people were very, very explicit about, hey, this shit actually does happen. And pretending it doesn't is not helping. Yeah, I gotta be honest. I generally consider myself to be a person pretty in charge of myself. I don't know that I could resist the instinct to, have this guy never see a trial. Like, I don't know that I could do that.
Yeah, nah. I'd be going Batman real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably one of the only jobs I can think of that has to haunt you more than war. Like,
I trusted you. Never trust a pedophile.
The audacity to say something like, I trusted you.
mm-hmm.
You mean like that little boy did?
Yep.
You sick fucking cunt.
¿Sabe?
Tu papá ya sabe.
Like, unless you're a literal fucking demon, how do you have so little, not even so little, no fucking soul to do that to all those kids?
Yeah, that is literally, that is demon. That is exactly what that is. This is one of the reasons why the fucking movements to normalize this shit pisses me off. It's like, that's the thing, people, even they don't focus on it super, super heavily, but there are still movements in America to, like, make this legal. Or even the bullshit with, like, oh, don't call them pedophiles, no, they're minor attracted persons. No, you're a fucking pedophile.
Yeah. You're a fucking pedophile and we're gonna treat you like one.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you could ever get to that point.
I
Like, how does a person that starts off with a soul convince themselves that this is not that this is okay?
it's something I don't have an easy answer to. Some of the debate is that it could be that they never had one. Which
they have to have never had one.
I confess it's an answer that is, you know, I guess sensible in that regard. But yeah, I mean, there definitely are people that sell themselves and be a piece by piece or whatever, you know. But yeah, no, this is so far beyond, you know, pure evil that it's like
There's really no words to describe it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. Like, obviously, it's a different crime set. But when you were telling that Mikey was laughing about the bishop being stabbed, like, I'm not trying to throw shade at the guy, but that's a demonic response,
right?
And that's, you know, hey, I don't mean to like throw shade at him, but that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Creemos que estuvo por lo menos 3 meses en Tijuana.
¿Usted es padre?
Sí.
I was literally just about to ask, what do you do as a father right there?
Yeah. I mean, fuck, like, people don't know what to do as a parent in a normal situation.
You're gonna rot in jail, or normally I'd extradite your ass straight to Colombia. Yeah. You'd be raped every day. Have your balls cut off, or you can tell me what I need to know.
Now use him, and then fucking send him there anyway.
Yep.
You have been at this for 12 years. Why are you doing it?
Because God's children are not for sale.
I love that line, by the way.
Which one?
God's children are not for sale.
That is a fantastic line. Yeah, the one he used earlier too, better a millstone be hung around your neck and you cast into the sea than that you should hurt one of these little ones. That's a direct Bible quote.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, Vampiro is a double agent? And he just set up the FBI guy to look like a rich American investor?
Basically, yeah. He used to be cartel, or at least do numbers for the cartel. But after he got out of jail, he genuinely turned around and started buying and then freeing children. And so now he's set up the FBI agent to look like a rich American who's trying to build this huge pedophile hotel.
Right. Yeah. Man, I don't know how you... Because you saw this in theaters, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you managed to sit through this whole thing. I had to just get up and walk around because I was getting too pissed off.
I get it. It helps. I knew what it was, and I also knew that it was something that like was working very hard to do something good. I guess I can say. Yeah, and like I said, I also had the benefit of a grandfather who worked in law enforcement more than enough to know that this stuff happens.
Right.
But yeah, it was not a upbeat theater. I will say that. It's probably the most silent I've ever heard a group of people like walk out of a theater, honestly. That's why it stuns me, because, you know, shockingly, the people that were against a movie with this message, go figure, don't touch kids, shouldn't be controversial, but it is. People were, like, trying to slam this movie as a QAnon hit piece, because the lead actor, Jim Caviezel, is, like, I don't know if he's part of it, but he at least, you know, messages a lot on, like, QAnon boards and all that kind of stuff. And so all of a sudden people are like, oh, this is a crazy white right-wing, you know, conspiracy hit piece. I'm just like, it's literally saying don't fuck kids. How is this even a contentious message in any way? But lo and behold, a certain group of people.
I notice her foot. She's got these little pink cat faces painted on her toenails. I don't know where she starts talking. Turns out she's not 25, not even 20. This girl is 14 years old to Mateo. And I know I'm the sadness in her eyes. Me. So I get my 45. Put it to my head. Now, if there is a time to ask if God exists, that would be it. So I did. When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
It's one of the things that, like, that line in I want to say it's ironic, but it's kind of not, carries over to the main actor's life in quite a big way. Because Jim Caviezel is actually an extremely devout Christian.
Huh.
And I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this before. If I have, stop me. But he went through a fuck ton during the filming of Passion of Christ, because it's literally it's Jesus's crucifixion is the movie. And oh my gosh, I can't even remember everything this guy suffered during the filming. He got pneumonia twice because he was up in the rain and next to no clothes for several hours at a time. He dislocated his shoulder during the scene when Jesus was carrying the cross. He had to have open heart surgery. He was struck by lightning twice. I'm sure I'm forgetting quite a lot else.
You had to have open heart surgery?
Yeah.
Because of what?
I don't remember what it was. We'll give this movie a second to breathe. Go ahead and look this up. Oh, the lightning strike led to 2 heart surgeries, including an open heart surgery. Which wasn't apparently corrected until 2014. Yeah, he had a shoulder separation when the cross dropped on his shoulder. Yeah, just, he was...
Damn.
He went through it. But he was talking to Mel Gibson, who directed that movie. And he said, don't talk about any of that until after everything is done. Don't tell anybody, don't, not when it's in theaters, not when it's out. Not until a couple years after all this is done, don't say a word, because it'll take away from what this is about. And yeah, literally no one knew about it. I didn't hear about it until maybe a decade after that movie had been out. And then he basically vanished from Hollywood until this. And he caught a little bit of flack because Tim Ballard, the real Tim Ballard, is a Mormon, I believe. And Jim Caviezel is a Catholic. And so some of the Catholics were like, oh, well, why would you play a Mormon guy? And he actually got a little bit pissed off. He says, look, when you show me a Catholic who, goes on here and rescues these kids, I'll happily play that guy. But until then, I'm going to play the guy that did it.
So, when this was getting all the flack it was, which I do remember that, liberals were tearing it apart and throwing hissy fits. Was that strictly because of the Christian undertone?
I'm sure that was part of it. I'm sure that was a big part of it. Essentially, I think the other part is that a lot of traditional conservatives were like in very big support of the movie. And so naturally it was the combative thing, even though it shouldn't be a controversial message, to hold issue with. And that's why they came up with all the bullshit about, oh, well, the main actor is a QAnon. It's like, who gives a shit? That has nothing to do with anything. Like, But then they'll support the Flash. Because, Ezra Miller hasn't really hurt anybody.
You quit your job, and you go and rescue those kids.
That's completely true, by the way. Tim Ballard did quit his job, and his wife actually largely supported him to do it. Like I said, you need to,
Great wife.
Yeah, I know that largely because of his actions there, it sparked a lot of conversations in Congress about the way that we deal with all this shit. Yeah, like I say, they definitely weren't gonna pull any punches on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, go figure, that's the movie that apparently is super controversial, and Disney didn't want people to see it, arrive at your own conclusions on that, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, yeah. So like I say, yeah, that's it's a hard watch, but it is a good one.
Yeah, that was something else.